Here's another question that I will attempt to answer. The individual wanted to know if they could leave what they built underneath the subfloor to raise their sagging floor joist. Now, there are obviously a few different things you can build, and hopefully I will address most of them in this video. So let's just say that you build a wall, something like this. And you can use pressure treated, you can use construction standard. I don't think it's going to matter. I've seen termites tear this stuff up. I've seen moisture tear this stuff up. So depending upon the wood you get, the pressure treated wood or the treated wood you get, you could have a problem with termites. So this would actually be my first concern. You build something, it goes right on the ground. The termites could actually work their way from the ground here and into the rest of the building. And it's not going to be the case most of the time if it's built to code. I think the code requires a minimum of 6 inches of distance between the ground and your framing members. So here we would have a concrete wall that's about 18 inches. The termites hopefully aren't going to get up into the wood, but I hope that makes sense. You have something like this, it could actually create a nice, easy path for them to go right out of the dirt and into the framing. So if you did do something like this, you know, and you're going to leave it, then I would make sure that you check on it once every 6 months, maybe once a year. Check on it to make sure that it's not getting tore up by termites or that it's getting damaged. A lot of times the ground will get wet underneath a home, and I know that's hard to imagine, but I've seen it plenty of times. If it rains a lot, the water will actually soak into the ground outside and work its way into underneath your home. So it'll all depend upon what type of ground you have or soil. But I would like to say, if you did do something like this, you're probably thinking, hey, wait a minute, I know I need concrete, pour a concrete pad in here, something like that. But the reason why I'm saying something like this might work is because the ground usually is going to be nice and compacted by the time that if you have a home that's been built, it's 30 or 40 years old, probably most of the settling will have happened. And if you build something on top of it, that might provide you with something that's not going to move a lot. And again, I'm just throwing this out there. This is not a common construction practice. If you did do something like this, you might want to put some metal somewhere. Here I just have a flat piece of metal, and over here I have a piece of metal. Maybe you could get this for some roofing, 2 pieces of metal, 2 pieces of L metal, something like that. But the metal would definitely be a deterrent as long as it goes all the way across. I have it here just as an example for you. But the metal could provide you with the separation you need to prevent the termites from attacking the rest of the house. So that's why I threw that one in there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next example. Could you actually just use some blocks, block it up and put a beam across there? And again, if you're going to do a temporary fix or you're going to leave the temporary fix, and I do understand the reason why I'm making the video, I've already said this isn't a common construction practice, but I know a lot of people do stuff like this. They go in and they put some blocks in there. They'll put a post on a block and put a beam in there. They'll raise it up, straighten out the floor, and then maybe 5 or 10 years they'll come back and raise it up if it's settled or sank into the ground a little bit. And this is it. They're done. And I understand that. So that's why I'm making the video and throwing some things in there. So for everybody who's going to give me some slack on it, I'm prepared. Hey, I get it plenty of times. So this one right here would just be a block with a post and a beam, and you could always put straps or some type of building hardware if you want to connect something like this. If you're worried about it, you want it to be a little stronger, and you can always connect it to the floor joist also with some building hardware. Last on the list would be to actually do something that would be more acceptable, and that would be to use a pier. And something like this you can usually get at a home improvement center or a lumber yard. a beam. It can be construction standard. You're going to be at least 6 inches off of the ground here. And I have the two examples here so that you can see what the pier would look like. Something like this would be a footing, maybe 12 inches by 12 inches, and then have it at least 12 inches deep into the ground. But again, that could depend on your area. It might need to be a little deeper. You might be able to go a little less into the ground. But the concrete does need to be 6 inches. This is the minimum distance here in most cases. And again, now would be a good time, I guess, to point out that these are just examples. They might not work in your area. They might work. You always need to run this stuff through your local building department. I say that, and then I get slack on that too. What the heck? I was just reading something where somebody was getting all excited over one of the videos I made on getting a permit. I'm not suggesting that you have to get a permit, but am telling you that most of the time they are required. So this would be a good fix. You don't want to, if you want something that's going to be a little more permanent, you're going to have to do something like this. Can you set these piers right on the soil? Most of the time, no. They need to be on a concrete footing, something that's maybe 12 inches by 12 inches, 12 inches wide, 12 inches in depth, this or length, and then 12 inches in the ground. That's usually common. And if you're going to do something like that, then why not just do this? Put a post base in here, and you can always use connectors. I think I put a strap here on the other side. They have other connectors you can put also. So that is it for the video. If you want to put something, you want something a little more permanent, this one might do. If you're just going to go ahead and block it, put some blocks in and a post, then something like this might do. And if you just want to build a wall, then let's go back to the first one. You could end up with something like that. I'm not, this right here would probably be the worst design. I did go from worst to best on, and what I felt would be worst to best. But just wanted to point out, if you have a home, you've got some sagging joist, and it's a crawl space, a subfloor, something like that, they can be supported by walls, posts, and beams, and concrete foundations, post footings. And if you're just going to set it on the ground, you're going to have to be aware of termites and the fact that over time it might settle again, and the wall would need to be rebuilt or reconfigured somehow as it starts to sink into the soil.